Hi, this is Lara at Elliott Wave Gold with your daily analysis for Tuesday 19th of August, recording the video now 6:35 PM Eastern Standard Time. Again, I was expecting some upward movement from gold. We didn't get it. Prices moved a bit lower to complete a smaller red candlestick at the daily chart level. Downward movement has not breached the invalidation point at the hourly chart level, though that is significant. The main wave count still has the highest probability. It still expects upward movement. It would be confirmed with movement to a new high above 1322.83. At that stage, I would have 100% confidence in the targets. The first target, which may be met in about 2 or 3 days, is 1340, and the target for upward movement to end in its entirety remains the same at 1346. If the main wave count is confirmed, then overall I expect time-consuming, choppy, overlapping upward movement to finally end primary wave 4, maybe in 8 days' time. Let's have a look at the charts. I have a new alternate wave count for you today, which has a reasonably good look. We'll go to that next. This is the main wave count, and it still has the highest probability. Overall, it has the best fit and the best look. It expects that primary wave 4 is an incomplete regular contracting triangle. It's been suggested that we have a complete 3-wave structure down off to the left of the chart, the end of primary wave 3, and yes, we do. It's been suggested that movement since that low could be a series of overlapping first and second waves, but if you want to see that, then you have to see the upward waves I've labelled as intermediate wave A, off to the left of the chart, and this movement here, intermediate wave C, you must see those as 5-wave impulses. Intermediate wave A is very obviously a zigzag. Intermediate wave E does not subdivide as a 5-wave impulse. It has what would be a triangle as the sole corrective structure in its second wave, which is invalid. This choppy, overlapping sideways movement is very obviously a triangle. It's not the start of a new upward trend. It just doesn't fit. I expect we're most likely in the final zigzag of the triangle for intermediate wave E, subdividing 535. And the only problem I have at this stage with this wave count is this movement here for minor wave A. Here we have a 4th wave triangle which lasted 10 days or sessions, compared to a 2nd wave zigzag which lasted only 1 day or session. When 4th waves take more time-consuming structures like triangles or combinations, they do tend to be more long-lasting than this more swift zigzag. So this is to be expected, but here the difference of 10 to 1 really is more extreme than usual. And that puts just a little bit of doubt on this wave count, and that's one thing that I like, that the new alternate has resolved. For this idea, I would expect we're in the final 5-wave structure up for minor wave C. There are only 2 possible structures a C wave may take, either a simple impulse or an ending diagonal. Within an ending diagonal, all of the subwaves may only subdivide as single zigzag structures, and with this 535 now being a very obvious complete 3-wave structure on the daily chart, minor wave C is not an impulse, it's an ending diagonal. Ending diagonals are choppy overlapping movements with a general trend. In this case, I will expect maybe another 8 days or sessions if minor wave C is to complete in a total Fibonacci 21 days or sessions. I expect we're in the 3rd wave and we need minute wave C up, which could take about 2 or 3 days. Minute wave 3 must move beyond the end of 1, and this main wave count will be firmly confirmed and the alternates both invalidated if we see a new high above 1322.83. Minute wave 2, if it were to continue further, which is really unlikely, but an outside possibility. If it does, it can't move beyond the start of 1 below 1280.35. At its end, if minor wave C is time-consuming, it could take enough time to move out to touch the upper edge of the big maroon channel copied over here from the weekly chart, and also at the same time it could be falling short of the black AC trend line. And falling short of this black trend line would be most likely. That is the most common place for the final subwave of a triangle to end, and there are 3 nice examples on this daily chart. Okay, let's look at the hourly chart with the end of minuet B here. within minute 2, and minute minuet C here completes minute wave 2 zigzag. Within an ending diagonal, all of the subwaves may only be single zigzag structures, so minute wave 2 is a pretty clear, obvious three-wave structure complete down here. I struggle to see how it could continue any further. If this hourly chart is invalidated, and if the alternate's correct, that should happen fairly soon, movement below 1294.54 would invalidate the main wave count at the hourly chart level. That would substantially reduce the probability of the main wave count and substantially increase the probability of the new alternate, which we'll go to next. Minuet B can't move beyond the start of A below 1292.54. Minuet B has almost no room left to move into, so minuet C must have begun now. At 1340, minuet wave C would reach 2.618, the length of minuet A. Were it to only reach 1.618, the length of A, that would not take price above 1322.83, remembering that minute wave 3 zigzag 535 in its entirety must move beyond the end of 1 above 1322.83. That's a core Elliott wave rule for both impulses and diagonals. When 3 is a completed zigzag, then 4 should take price lower and overlap back into wave 1 price territory. The final fifth wave up may end about the target at 1346. When we know the length of minute wave 3 in comparison to minute wave 1, we'll have an indication as to whether the diagonal for minus C could be contracting or expanding, and so we'll have an idea as to how long the following fourth wave should be. This is a new alternate idea, and it has a really very important implication. It has a lower probability than the main wave count though, because if primary wave 4 is unfolding as an almost complete 9-wave triangle, 9-wave triangles, they're not too rare, but they're not exactly common either. The rarity of a 9-wave triangle must reduce the probability of this wave count to an alternate. In all the years I've been analysing various markets, I've only in hindsight been 100% confident that a 9-wave triangle was completed, and it's this example right here. When minor wave B, 9-wave triangle completed, I spent some time looking carefully at the subdivisions, and I concluded that one of these subwaves can only be seen as a double zigzag structure. It just doesn't subdivide at all well as a single zigzag. So I concluded that 9-wave triangles are possible, of course, and within them, one of the subwaves can actually be a WXY double zigzag. So with that in mind, I will consider the possibility that primary 4 could be a 9-wave triangle, and that within it, intermediate wave C was a double zigzag, because this upward movement does not subdivide very well at all as a single zigzag, but it fits perfectly as a double zigzag. This idea resolves the problem of proportion within this upward wave. If we see this as a zigzag, then A and B are nicely in proportion, and within A, 2 and 4 are actually nicely in proportion too. 4 actually ends on this candle here. It was a small triangle. I need to fix that label. So the problem of proportion within this upward wave is now resolved. But apart from the rarity of a 9-wave triangle, this alternate has another thing which reduces its probability. Within triangles, the subwaves, usually, apart from the last one that is, the subwaves and movements within the subwaves usually touch or come very close to the triangle trend lines. And in this example of a 9-wave triangle, E slightly overshot the trend line, just intra-hour. F almost touches the trend line. G, intra-hour, has a very small overshoot. A falls only a little bit short of the trend line, and the final subwave, which is most common, falls comfortably short of the trend line. But for this example, E, F, G and H are all falling comfortably short of the triangle trend lines, and that's quite unusual. If this example is correct, then we need probably a couple of days of upward movement. Minus C would be most likely to move beyond the end of A. I'd expect a new high for gold above 1310.27, but intermediate wave I can't move beyond the end of G. This wave count would be firmly invalidated with movement above 1322.83. At that point, the main wave count would be firmly confirmed. The implications of this idea are really important. We could see just another 1 or 2 days of a little bit of upward movement, and then if the triangle ends, the next movement for gold could be swift, violent downward movement. That would be confirmed if we see a new low below 1280.35. When triangles take even longer, the movement out of a triangle is necessarily reduced. If this wave count's confirmed, I'd expect primary wave 5 to be relatively short, maybe less than equality with 1, shorter than $388, and it could even be over in 3 weeks, reaching equality in duration with primary wave 1. This is still another alternate idea, and it has an even lower probability today. This is probably the last time I'm going to publish it. It's starting to look quite ridiculous. If primary wave 4 is over here, is a regular 5-wave contracting triangle, and triangles can only be 5 or 9 waves. No other variation is allowed. It's either 5 or 9. If this is correct, then the first movement out of the triangle is not swift and strong, as they almost always are. This is a leading diagonal. Diagonals are not swift, strong movements. Another problem with this idea today is if we have the start of primary 5 here, then we have 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. We should be moving imminently toward the middle of a very strong third wave down. The fact that we're not starting to see price rocket to the downside right now substantially reduces the probability of this wave count. I'll only take it seriously if it's confirmed within the next 24 hours with movement below 1280.35. That's all for me today with your gold analysis, and I hope all our members are having a fabulous day.